for Tuesday, August 4th, 2020. This is the Pro and the Con Show. And my name is Michael James Ott. Welcome to the show, as always. Didn't realize whether I had pushed the go button there on Facebook Live yet or not, but I had. Anyway, so again, the purpose of the show is to encourage all of us to be better citizens, participate a little bit more, okay? Be willing to listen, and the term, or how I approach it, is to say, okay, this is an important issue. You obviously have strong feelings about this issue. Would you take some time and tell me about your walk in life, how you got to where you are on this position? And I'd like to, if you would, please offer me the same respect, and I'll tell you how I got there. And by sharing that information, by sharing our experiences, we will, one, build a better relationship with this whoever we're speaking to, but two, we'll gain knowledge of pro and con, good and bad, for and against. Okay? And it's only in knowing the issues in the amalgam, in the total, that you make the best decisions. Anyway, today's show is called 160,000. 160,000. So we are at 160,000 deaths in the United States due to coronavirus. And it's probably higher than that by some amount, uncertain about how much higher, but it's almost certainly higher than that. That 160,000 is probably undercounted by some amount, because, again, many people have died from flu symptoms or whatever, died and were never tested for coronavirus. Some of the things that coronavirus does, like it causes blood clots in some people, and so some people might have died from stroke or something like that was actually coronavirus related, but never will be tested for, never will be counted in that number, because we aren't testing everybody as they die or whatever. And I just wanted to put that into some perspective. 160,000 deaths in World War II, in the entirety of World War II. Okay, we fought about 5 years, a little bit less than 5 years in total during World War II. We lost 405,000 American soldiers. So 160,000. I mean, we're rapidly approaching a third. Actually, we've exceeded a third of the total deaths in World War II. Now, this was an armed conflict, one of the greatest conflicts in the world of all time, where people were, blowing each other up with bombs and shooting each other with pistols and rifles, and stabbing each other with knives and bayonets, and on and on and on. And even at the end of the war, some atomic bombs being dropped, not on our soldiers, but the point being, it was this massive effort at people trying to kill each other. And Americans amassed 405,000 deaths during World War II. World War I was 116,000 deaths, plus or minus. So we far exceeded the number of deaths that our soldiers suffered in World War I. Vietnam, which was a big political, social thing back in the 60s and early 70s, around 58,000 people, young soldiers, lost in Vietnam for the United States. So, 1/3 or now the death toll in the U.S. with the coronavirus is solidly, 3 times, coming up on 3 times the deaths intentional deaths, if you will, of people fighting each other, trying to kill each other in Vietnam from the standpoint of our soldiers. And of course, the coronavirus then is a real thing. And so it's frustrating. It's really, for me, for a lot of people that I speak with, it's very frustrating because the messaging on a national level, because of mostly, not totally because of him, but certainly in large part because of the President of the United States. And the president, decided to ignore the coronavirus and to say it would go away and to say that it was no big deal. It was just like the flu, or not even as bad as the flu. And then and his reckless treatment of, testing, and his continued and still, okay, today is August 4th, and he still is talking about how testing is a bad thing. He periodically spits that out in interviews or tweets that out on Twitter, that testing is a bad thing. And the reason is he has some mental issues, and he can't wrap his brain around this fact that testing is not causing more cases, it's just identifying more cases. It's not causing them, it's identifying them. And because they're identified, he feels like it makes him look bad. The more cases that are proven, documented, it makes him look bad. And why does it make him look bad? Because he did not act to put in the testing and to put in the albeit probably very unpopular at the time, wearing a mask, social distancing, lots and lots of testing. I've not had one of these tests, but the current test, there's a swab and they stick it far up into your sinuses. And my understanding is it's pretty uncomfortable when they do that. It only lasts a few seconds, but most people don't like it. All right, and they get there's the test swab, and then that has to get sent to a laboratory. And we could have avoided all of the shutdown, a huge amount of the unemployment, and a huge percentage of these deaths if we'd actually embraced the fact that testing was the only thing we could do. We didn't have a cure. We didn't have a vaccine. And those things were going to take months. But the thing that we could do was test. And that's, technology that we knew how to do. We just needed to do a whole lot more of it, and in a very systematic, reasoned way. But we didn't do that. And we still aren't doing it because, in large part, because the singular leader of our nation, the President of the United States, still continues to muddy the water in regard to a national strategy on taking care of this coronavirus. And it's costing us billions, if not trillions of dollars, and it's costing